How can you tell the true power of a whale in Kingshot? When looking at the leaderboard, you will see some with billions of powers and some in the hundreds of millions, but sometimes the hundreds of millions are stronger than the billion ones. So how exactly can you tell? Well, today this is exactly what I am going to look into more details, and for that I am going to use the Kingdom Transfer group that I am in, which includes 1400s to the 1500 servers, specifically my server 1455, as well as 1433, which is very close to us in power, and 1510, which is also very close to us in power, and that has also wells in the billions of power. So how exactly can you tell? Well, it's not a exact science, but Mystic Trial is usually going to be the best way to tell. Now, if you look at the Mystic Trial, you will know that this is something where every day you get a different battle here, and they use different parts of your account. So for this one, only the stats of Governor Gear take effect. For this one, only the stats of Tech take effect, and so on. They all have a different one, but together, all of the Mystic Trial take into account every part of Kingshot's power except troops. And that is where you can get a lot of power. As you can see, my troop power is more than half of my account's power. Now, having troops is good for a lot of reasons, but at some point, having more troops doesn't do anything for you. If you lose a rally, you can just put so many troops in a rally. So this is why a lot of people have billions of power, but they end up being quite weak. Now, some of them have billions of power and they are not weak at all. So how can you really tell? Well, this is it. So Mystic Trial will show you all the different things. So you can go here and click on the leaderboard. Now, for my current kingdom, Mystic Trial here, as you can see, of course, my very big Kraken True has the highest score because he is not a weak whale, even though he has a ton of true power as well. But you also can see separately all of the ranks. So you can see where he is ranked, which means what is his best stuff. So if you are looking at the knowledge nexus, you can tell that his research is the best, but not by much. There are many people on this server who also have pretty much maxed out research or close by. Now, if you look at Forest of Life, that's Pet. So he is quite a bit ahead of others in Pet because he is over 15 levels ahead of the second one. But you can also see that the people in their ranks 2 to 5 are different every time. So this guy was at rank 2 for the knowledge, but he's now rank 5 for the pets. Now, pets have a huge amount of like endless stats boost for whales, so it is one of the things that's quite telling. Coliseum is going to be your hero gear and all kind of stuff, which is one of the most important, and arguably you can see that he is miles ahead of everybody else because he has, you know, pretty much maxed out hero gear in almost every way. So that is something very powerful, and you can look at all of them and they will tell you. Radiance Power is one of those that has quite a bit of the stats all in one, so this is a very good teller as well. And then when you look at Mystic Trial in general, well, this is going to give you everything, every single level accumulated, which will give you the true power of an account. Now, there is one thing to keep in mind, is that certain wells could not push. So if you don't come here and attempt any challenges, even if you've boosted into power, you won't go higher in level. So there is a chance that I have spent thousands of dollars into my knowledge or into, let's say, this one, which is the Governor gear, but I just don't come here and I don't challenge it further. This means that I am going to stay at this level for a long time. You could even just not come into Mystic Trial at all, because I mean, there are good rewards for sure, and you know, you should be pushing them as much as you can on a regular basis, especially to get the milestones. But you also get daily rewards that give you these little crystals, and then you can buy a lot of stuff here, so it's important. But for a whale, I mean, this is worth a few dollars. They don't really need it, and they could completely ignore all of this. And then on this leaderboard, they would look the same. So he could be at 2467 for a year if you wanted to. So it could be wrong. Like, there is a certain place in the world where you would think that they're at a certain point, but then they're much stronger in behind the scenes. However, in general, in these kind of games, people like to showcase their power. If they're spending a lot of money on the game, they like to show it off. So it's most likely that the whales are close to their power. But like, for now, I'm looking at all the neighboring kingdoms, and you can see, you know, the difference between TBPO and True. There is a difference. True is stronger. However, True has almost 3 times more power than TBPO when you look at the personal power. So this does give you a bit of an idea that the personal power is not always the only thing to look at. Now, personal power will still show you a certain degree of how much the person is spending on the game, but you are going to be able here to have much better idea. So if you go to All Kingdom, for example, now of course this will make it so that some people that have been playing for years are going to be ahead of people who are playing for months, but you will see, there's a guy at 7 billion and one at 5 billion and then, multiple in the billions. And you will go here in the Mystic Trial and you will see that the guy at 7 billion is actually second. So this guy is most likely stronger than him. Now, okay, that doesn't, in this level, they are very, very high, but it's still pretty impressive that True is number 73 overall, even though our server is in the 1400s, which means it's like 6 months old, like actually less than 6 months old. And then these people are on servers that are older than 1 year old. This guy's been on server 18, and then there is everybody is like in the 3-digit, 2 digits. There's also the other guy from 1510 who is right here at 1.9. So these guys have spent serious money to catch up in their personal power, and they look massive, and they are massive. But in the Mystic Trial, they are not there yet because True is in the 2400-2500s. Now, they're still very, very powerful, especially because we're in G3. So they have access to a lot less stuff than these guys, but they're still going to be excessively powerful. But this does give you a good idea. So in this case, when you're looking at the King Transfer especially, well, you can look here and look at the leaderboard. So like, let's say I'm going to go and see 1510. Then I'm going to look at their wells and 1.9, 1.3, 1 billion. So they have very, very strong wells. And we are going to look at the Mystic Trial. And even though this well is 300 million power higher than True, he is like 7 levels, I think, lower than True. And the second one is also lower than True and pretty close to TBPO, even though it's 3 times TBPO's power. So TBPO would beat every single one of these wells except maybe the first one, maybe the second one. They're pretty close, but TBPO has half the power, if not a third of the power of this guy. So it does show you that the power is not everything in this game. So when you are going to go and fight in KvK, well, this is something that you can look at. You can also look at total pet power, which is going to give you an idea because, as I said, pet have a ton of endless boosts that you can do by refining the pets. Rebel Conquest stage is somewhat of a teller as well, though less so. And then you also are going to have, other things like the island and stuff like that, which have buffs. But in general, Mystic Trial gives you the best idea for your account. And if you look at all of them together, hero power is also very good because it's going to give you, their strongest hero. But if you go at hero total power, this is also very telling because the heroes, the one march that you're going to rally the middle with is going to be, included in here. So, but this also means that they could have 6 heroes with tons of gears, but their 3 top heroes are weaker than the other guys' 3 top heroes. So there's a lot of data here to look at, but it does give you a really good idea. And then if we go and compare to 1433, which is also very powerful, though they have less of these billion power well, you can see their number 1 well is at 439, and then their number 4 well is at 382. But when we look at Mystic Trial, this guy is very close. He's still a little bit under True and TBPO and others on my server, but he's not very far. So this is also showing you that the top 10 here has, very close to the top 10 of my server. So this is all the kind of information that will really get you to understand what you're fighting against. So you can look at it during Kingdom Transfer, or you can go make accounts on people's servers and look at the leaderboard after you reach a certain level. Now, the last 2 things I want to touch on quickly are going to be the pets. As you can see, as I said here, refine. This is something that gives a really little bit of stats, but you can refine all your pets to very, very high amount of stats. And you can buy these taming marks for gems unlimited in the store. So there is no limit to how many of these you can buy, even though they stop working well after a certain, I think when you turn purple here. But this is basically a endless spit of money where you can get your account stronger by small percentages. So this is the kind of stuff that makes, well, differentiate from one another in terms of spending, because as I said, you can buy these guys here and then you can, you get a little bit of an edge that way. And also recently masters were introduced, and now my master is not maxed yet, but once you reach the last level with your master here, afterwards you unlock a third thing here. This allows you to spend these emblems, so these general emblems, and then you can spend endlessly almost again for a little bit of stats increment. So these are 2 of the main ways where wells, once you've maxed out everything, Like everything here is maxed out. The gear is red with all the best gems, and all your heroes have, you know, let's say the red gear at level 100, everything's highest max. You can't do anything else to it. Well, after that, this is where the small things like the pets and the masters make a difference. One strategy for KvK could be that some wells are holding back. Of course, also when KvK starts, people spend items. This is the time to spend items and push in power. So there's going to be huge gaps of power gained the first few days before the battle starts in KvK. So this is going to be also some last minute adjustments that can be made. But while you have Kingdom Transfer, you can scout other servers, but otherwise you can just make an account on other servers and look at their leaderboard. So it's not like it's a secret or anything. None of this information is unavailable to anyone looking at leaderboards. So this really does give you an idea when you're scouting other people to know what you're up against and if you are going to have a chance at winning the middle or not. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.